Welcome to Own It, the podcast where we talk to real estate thought leaders about embracing your strengths, taking your career to new heights, and owning your future. I'm Hillary Saunders, joined today by my slightly under the weather co-host, Spencer Kroll.
Yeah, thank you. It's a little, they're cloudy. I feel cloudy. That's
I just want to give you a big virtual hug because I don't want your real germs, but thank you very much for bucking up and making it to this amazing episode that's going to be full of energy. And
I would not miss this one. I would not miss this one for anything.
Oh my God. I'm so excited. So I'm just going to bring on our two amazing guests, the founders of Revived Residential out of Brooklyn, New York, Joe Cruz and Lou Belisario. Welcome to Own It, gentlemen. This is I need like fireworks behind me because this is going to be so explosive.
Thank you.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
I love it.
I just want to say I was supposed to be in your offices today to record this. I was excited. Any excuse I get to go to Brooklyn. And unfortunately, but I promise I will be there.
All right, good. We got 2 spots for you to check out so far. Maybe by the time you come down, we'll have a few more.
Let's dive right in. You gentlemen are like powerhouses of not just Brooklyn real estate, but you are powerhouses of social media marketing. You are the like quintessential knowledge people of your own personal brand. There's so much to unpack in this next like 30 to 40 minutes. So we're going to dive right in.
Let's do it.
Why and how did you guys decide to partner together and create this amazing baby that is Revived?
So when did we meet? How many years ago? Like maybe 10 years ago?
Right around 10 years ago. Yeah. We tried to work together even back then. And then just life happens, you know?
Yeah. So, 10 years ago, we met at a charity softball game and we just clicked and became friends. And then at the time, like Joe said, we tried to do something with the businesses that we had at that point, but it didn't work out. And then, going back about 6 years ago, we were both at the same firm previously. And we said, hey, listen, Joe, you're an expert in this part of the business. Lou, you're an expert in this part of the business. At the time, we actually had a third partner also. He was an expert in another part of the business. And I said, listen, if we bring this together, it's kind of like we're like a transformer. Like we're now taking over, a number of different markets. So, Joe is an expert in new dev and high-end rental buildings. He's probably rented, thousands of apartments in Brooklyn. I'm a third generation real estate broker in Brooklyn. And, my specialty tends to be 1, 2, 3, 4 families, house by house type situation. And, combining it together, we both have similar personalities. We both are family men at the end of the day. And we were able to kind of convey that to the agents in the marketplace, which is why we've attracted as many as we've had over the years. And, the same thing went ahead to our clients. We were able to basically just service our clients a little bit better. And, it's worked out great. And we keep a very low key, but we also we have a lot of fun. And, we're real deal people. We're born and raised Brooklynites. For those of you, who are not, you'll hear some Brooklyn slang come out of my mouth today, I'm sure. But there's not that many of us left, to be honest with you, right? So there's not that many born and raised Brooklyn people left. And, Joe and I can say that we are those people, and we think that's the edge that we have in the market.
You know what I do want to point out? One thing that brought us together and still keeps us together is that we put our egos to the side and keep our focus on our goals.
Yes. 100%.
And that's important in any partnership. And I just want to throw that out there because I know and there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this that have partners. It's very important to know that, it's not about you, it's about us and what's our goal together.
Yeah, I like the fact that you both realize that you have an expertise in one thing, you have an expertise in another, and I think it's really great to that you could probably go to somebody saying, I have a problem with this or I have a question about this. How would you handle it based on your experience there? If you both are experts in exactly the same thing, I'm sure there are things that you both have an expertise in, but when you're approaching it from different ends, I think that adds a lot to the mix. You mentioned family. And I get the sense that you guys are kind of like, you remind me of relatives, right? Like you remind me of guys that would be sitting down at Thanksgiving or something like that. But you have a lot of family members working with you, right? Don't you have family teams or something or people?
My sister and my cousin Daniel both work on the team. Daniel's been with me. He started with me as my assistant like 7 years ago. And now he's grown to be, he's a great real estate agent. He's, he does a good amount of business. And, what I think I'm good at is realizing what people's strengths are in life. And Daniel's strength coming out of college, Daniel's 27. So at the time he was like 21, 22. And I said, you know what? I know about Facebook. I know about Instagram. But he definitely knows more than me about this. So let me bring him on to help grow our social media. And now Daniel basically runs our social media full time and has been an integral part of our growth through social. But he's also out there hustling, selling houses every day too. And my sister Janine, she was in the teaching world and left that world to do this full time. So she's dived right in full time about 2 years ago. And to be honest with you, being like, it's always a sibling thing going on, and I would never be like, you're the best. But Janine actually is a very, very good real estate agent. And it's definitely in our blood in that sense. Like I mentioned earlier, our grandparents are real estate agents, our cousins are real estate agents, our uncles real estate agents. At one point in time, our family had the largest privately owned real estate broker in New York City. So we kind of grew up around the business. And for me, I didn't get an opportunity to really take that company to the next level, but we have our own company now, and this is what we want to do and take that company to the next, our own thing to the next level.
I love it. Let's talk about Revived. Joe, brand is so important, and a lot of consumers don't really understand the why behind a brand. Like, it needs to have an actual, effect on you. It's not just color and logo, but it's a feel and a service level. Tell us what went through your guys' heads when you guys were creating Revived, and what is that brand?
Yeah, well, first of all, brand is everything. It's what represents you, what represents the agent, and it's an experience that you're going to offer anyone that's going to consume the brand. So your buyers, your sellers, the agents, everyone and everything. It's about the experience with the brand. So we were really, we had a message, Lou and I. We had a strong message in what we felt we wanted to do when we decided to partner with Side and create our own firm. And it's really the story behind it is we wanted to bring back the old ways of doing business, deeply rooted in the community. We wanted to revive that experience, bring it back to life, and combine it with the modern technology needed in today's world. And so that's where the whole concept of Revived came in. So yeah, that's really it. And really that's our business model, especially in the market we're in, where we're really focused on, we're Brooklynites, right? Lou said that at the beginning. And we're really focused like deeply in the community, and, the old ways, they worked, and they just need to be combined with the new technology needed to sell real estate nowadays.
So give me an example of what you mean by old ways.
Yeah. So, honesty, when you keeping your word, when you say something, things back in the days were more like on a handshake deal, right? So that's what we really mean, like the old ways, and also relationships, So when you actually meet a buyer or you meet a seller and you build that rapport, that relationship with them, and that you actually care to give them a good experience. It's not all about a dollar figure, right? It's about a relationship. And from those relationships come referrals and future business.
I also want to add to that, the old ways of business, in a sense, a lot of people today lose the human contact. And that's kind of something that I think is so important also. Like, back in the day, somebody would walk to their real estate broker's office, walk in, I'd like to buy a house, I'd like to sell a house. That doesn't happen as much today because of the internet, because of social media and everything else that we deal with. So, I think having a good combination of both human to human contact and social media is great. I just feel like a lot of agents over the last, let's say 10 years have just completely fallen off on the human to human contact thing. They don't want to pick up the phone and call somebody. They want to text. They want to post on Instagram, but not go out and farm neighborhoods and be a fixture in the neighborhood. So if we're able to convey to our agents the having a balance of both, because I think that's what Joe and I excel at, is we're blessed because we were born I was born in 86. Joe was what, 89?
89.
So we're like 80s babies that grew up in the 90s without cell phones, without social media. We remember life before texting and all that stuff. And I think the generation of agents today that maybe were born in the late 90s, early 2000s, those people just do not understand the human to human contact aspect of it. And I think that's what we're able to teach them.
I personally love how you are utilizing social media to spotlight the different neighborhoods within your community and kind of educating not just, the buyer or seller, but also the community at large. Like this is what you can find here. And the benefits and the beautiful pieces and the nuggets that, the average person, even Spencer, probably wouldn't know about. So how are you kind of bridging the gap as you are bringing on new team members and teaching them about personal brand and utilizing social media to really cultivate their own brand within the company? Because that can be a little dicey sometimes, if it's not going right on the line of your values.
Yeah. I mean, most people, we try to explain to them. This was at our meeting the other day. And Joe, maybe after I'm done speaking, you could talk about like Claudette and her personal brand and things like that. I think would be a good segue to what I'm going to say. But at our meeting, we sat there and we spoke about personal brand. And I said, listen, you have a past, you have a current, and you have a future. Your past, even though it's your past, is still a part of your personal brand. And, a lot of agents may complain that their sphere of influence does not give them business. And to me, it's because your sphere of influence looks at your past, and that's what your brand is to them, right? So you may be 35 now, but when you were 25, you were a maniac and you were drinking every weekend and you were out, you were partying and you were doing this. And that's what people remember until you make them forget. And that's the part where that I think a lot of people have to understand. I've been a real estate agent since I'm 19 years old. If people don't know that I'm a real estate agent now and what my personal brand is, then I'm doing something wrong. Right. But a lot of people join the industry later in life than that. And you had a past, and you have to kind of make them forget your past, know what your current, brand is, and what's your future brand. What do you want them to always remember you by as you go forward in this business? And Claude, that's a great person to talk about.
Yeah. We also encourage our agents, and a lot of our agents are local too. They were born and raised in Brooklyn as well. And this could go for really any company in any place in the United States. We use social media to highlight the neighborhoods that they're from. So one of our agents, Michael, he actually came up with a great idea. And you look on our Instagram, you see we have a series going on. It's called On the Block, right? So maybe you were referring to that. And so he's from Carroll Gardens. So he did an episode where he speaks about the neighborhood that he's from. Lou's sister Janine did another episode in front of the house she grew up in Marine Park. And so that also helps you create your brand, because not only are you giving out information on social media on a specific neighborhood, but you're also creating a brand for yourself and targeting that neighborhood and people that have interest in that neighborhood about yourself, where you're from. And who better to speak about about a topic than someone that's from there, right? And so Michael, one of our agents, came up with that concept, and we have a lot of little series coming out and videos on different neighborhoods. And that's also using social media to kind of speak about the community and neighborhoods. So that's one thing. Another thing, referring back to one of our agents, Claudette, I always applaud her because she goes out there and she educates herself. And if she doesn't know something, she tries to get better at it. And I always speak about personal brand is when you walk into a room and you know what you're talking about, people are like, she really knows what she's talking about. And that gives you like a whole experience and feeling that you want to do business with that person. Yeah. So in order to work on your personal brand, you also have to gain knowledge and education, and you have to invest in yourself so that you have the confidence to know what you're talking about.
I love that. That is so cool. I years ago used to teach writing, and people say, write what you know. but also learn what you need to know in order to write about it, right? And I think it's the same thing in real estate. Is, if you want to know something, you want to know the high end, then start learning about the high end, or start learning about social media if that's where you want to go. The two things you said, which I really like, one of them was about you have your past, your current, and your future. And talking to people about you, they all talk about your authenticity, about how you guys are authentic, and there's kind of no artifice there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess it's kind of a weird question, but how do you foster that, right? Like, what do you do to kind of show, or you just show up?
I'll be honest with you. I just show up, and it's something I think I just learned from my past, right? So, my history through life, there's always ups and downs. And I just kind of figured out that the easiest way to just live life is just to be straightforward and honest, and just be as authentic and blunt as possible. And if people don't like you for it, I know we're on a podcast, so I won't curse, but you know what I would tell them to do. That's real life. You know what I mean? Like, this is who I am. If you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you, but a lot of people do like it. So I'll work with the people who do like it, and authenticity is everything to us, and to our team as well. Like, we're not bringing, I say this all the time, like culture, right? Culture is such an important thing. I remember years ago at the Fillmore, which was my family's company, I would attend like LRE conferences, right? Leading Real Estate in the World conferences. And what I learned from those conferences years ago was about company culture and how culture was so important. And that's something that we really forever, from when we had the team to when we had the company, from when I was an individual agent or a manager, was team culture is so important. So we don't bring anybody on, who's like a BSer. Like, don't BS us. Just tell us straightforward who you are, what you're about. Let's get to work. We don't judge you. Don't judge us. Let's go out there and do what we have to do and call it a day.
You know what I like to always say? Less planning and more doing. When you kind of sit down and you try to plan something, then you start planning and you become who you're really not. And you're just trying to be something or someone that it's not you, right? So stop planning and just go do. Go do.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially newish agents, get lost in the trying to make things perfect and planning something out so that way there's, it's all done, rather than just get the video out, start with a video, and then you can always refine it and make it better. But you guys are really good, in my opinion, at recruiting and building a team. And I think, Lou, you strategize and coach your agents as well. What kind of company strategies are you guys implementing to attract more agents, or do you have a recruiting strategy, or are they just coming to you because you guys are so dynamic?
I think a lot of people do come to us. I think we get a lot of referrals from a lot of people within the industry, right? So a lot of other agents out there are like, listen, like, you'd be a great fit for Joe and Lou. Like, you're not a great fit here, but you're a great fit for them. We don't shy away. A lot of times too, I think opportunity is so important to give to people. And I think a lot of brokers, especially in New York City, I don't know how the rest of the world operates, but in New York City, real estate brokers act like they're like celebrities, and they act like they're not. Like, that's not who we are, right? What we're here to do is help people out. So if you're a brand new agent coming out of school, I'm not going to be like, oh, I don't take on new agents. That was like a new concept for me when the previous company we were at. We won't use names, but figure it out. That was something when a lot of people were like, oh, I don't take on new agents. I was like, I'll take on new agents. I have no problem with that, because I'll create that. I'll make that agent into a superstar. And that agent will stick with us and have loyalty to us for as long as we're good to them. They should be good back to us. Like, use Claudette as an example. Claudette's one of the top producers on our team, and is now literally her own brand and like a real deal local popular celebrity real estate agent. And she started out as a rental agent that she worked at another company and they weren't willing to help her. I was like, you know what? Come here. Just watch. All you have to do is just watch, right? Real estate is not, you don't have to recreate the wheel. It's a copycat business. So as long as you're good at observing and listening, and you take, Joe mentioned ego before, take your ego, put it to the side, and learn. As long as you're willing to do that, you should not fail at this business. And the people who choose not to do that are the ones who tend to fail. But recruiting wise, like I said, it's usually from other agents, reputation within the industry. We just put out 2 videos this morning that we'll be doing big IG campaigns over, boosting them, et cetera, et cetera. We have targeted people that we obviously try to go after and things like that, like everybody else. But I'd say it's really just, just reputation at this point.
I wanted to add one thing that I always say is, in this business, when recruiting agents, sometimes the agents that you interview and you say to yourself, this person's not going to make it. This person's no good. Sometimes that's the agent that ends up being a superstar. And the agent that you interview and you're like, wow, this person's going to do great. Mm-hmm. They end up not doing any business. So don't judge a person on how they're going to perform in their real estate career on day one, because real estate is a disciplined industry. If you have no discipline and determination, you ain't going to make it. And sometimes the people that you least expect have the most discipline.
All right, that dovetails with exactly what I was going to ask you. Do you ever get agents where, first of all, do you both have to agree before bringing someone on the team?
Yeah, usually, but it's usually not. It's usually I trust him, he trusts me. So if I'm like, is he good? He's like, yeah, he's good. I'm like, all right, cool, bring him on, let's go, and vice versa.
All right, and in there, because you both specialize in different parts of the business, do you ever bring somebody on, Joe, and you think, oh, they're going to be great for new dev, and you realize, oh, you know what, they're much more of a neighborhood person, and maybe Lou should work with them, or vice versa? Is that something that you guys kind of help steer the agents towards who they actually are?
That happens all the time. Yeah, of course, absolutely. We always try to see what someone's strength and weaknesses are, and then we work on their weaknesses, and we make sure that whatever their strength is, we put them in the right position to succeed.
What you said about that you receive a lot of referrals from other companies and people out in the industry, I think that's a huge takeaway, in that if you are recruiting someone and they're not right for your team, if you suggest a team or a company that they might be good for, that goes both ways too, right? Mm-hmm. So that person who referred you, that potential teammate, is now in the back of your head, that if someone comes across your office who's not a right fit, mm-hmm. like, oh, well, maybe you're good for 1, 2, 3 company down the road.
Yeah, we always do that. And every time we have agent review often, we just implemented like a 90-day review period right now. So in June, we'll pick it back up again and see who's going to kind of stay and who's going to go. But in the past, when we've done that, anybody who we let go, we would just be like, listen, we would exactly what you said. We refer them to a company that we feel maybe they're a part-timer. Maybe they're an agent who only specializes in a certain type of property, and we don't really service those properties. But that other brokerage does. We've done that countless times, and we'll continue to do that because we don't want to just also let anybody just flounder. Like, we care, like we genuinely care. We don't want you to just walk out of the door and not have a direction. At least let us guide you. And if you take our advice, hopefully that helps you out.
Yeah, I think, and it not only goes for your stellar reputation and respect in the industry, but also the adage, you don't burn a bridge, right? When you leave someplace or something's not right, you never know where that's going to come back and benefit not just you, but your clients too. You might be doing a deal with the agent on the other side and need to get over some very difficult situation.
Exactly.
I wish I knew about this burning bridge thing earlier. Oh, well, anyway, I guess I can start implementing that now. The other thing too, and I think a lot of people don't realize this about New York, and I don't know if you're hearing my dogs barking right now.
It's all right. Eddie, the therapy dog, is welcome on the podcast. It's okay.
Eddie Von Schocula, he's running around there. So the question I have, New York real estate, and I want you to talk about it a little bit, because a lot of people that might be listening are doing real estate where they're members of Board of Realtors and they're cooperating, like the whole thing is built on that. New York is very much, and this is what I love about talking to you, it is so much of an every man or woman for themselves sort of thing, but you guys don't seem to operate that way. So I'm curious how you operate within the community, because everyone seems to love you.
Years ago, like the 80s and the 90s, there really wasn't an MLS. There was, but there wasn't. And, you made relationships with other brokers at lunch or at dinner, and that was the agreement. Then the MLSs came around, and then the MLSs became fragmented, and there was, all different MLSs out there. So New York City, for those listening, does not have one single MLS, right? Manhattan doesn't have an MLS. It's called the RLS. It's not truly an MLS, but it's a board, which we're members of, which is REBNY. Brooklyn has the Brooklyn MLS, which basically covers like the southern part of Brooklyn. And then the top part of Brooklyn is usually REBNY. And then Queens has one key MLS, which is wrapped in somehow with the Bronx and Westchester. So there's all these different MLS that you have to operate in if you want to. And over the years, brokers would use non-membership as a reason to not co-broke with other brokers. And that's something that Joe and I was like, this makes no sense. We're not going to do this. Relationships are everything. So we'll always co-broke. It's part of our mantra, right? So we'll always co-broke, even with everything coming out recently. We're still, we're not putting 0% co-brokes out there like a lot of brokers are. We always feel like, having these strong relationships within the brokerage community is paramount for agents to join us also, where we sit down and most of the time, all you have to do is just say one of our names. You don't have to say Revive. You don't have to say anything. Just go there and be like, I'm with Joe and Lou. And for the most part, they're going to be like, all right, no problem. You're good. Come on in. And it's vice versa with them. And with that, though, you need to have some leverage. So our leverage is the fact that at any given, right now we have about 42 listings on the market, right, in the first 3 weeks of Revive, which is insane.
Congratulations.
A lot of business
Bravo.
that we give back to people, right? So it's a two-way street at the end of the day. So it's like, if you wash our hand, we'll wash your hand, and we'll call it a day. And we attend a ton of networking events over the years. Like, we're always networking. We're always hanging out with other brokers. We think having those relationships are so paramount for our business. And that's kind of the way we built it over the years.
Yeah, networking is everything, because who you know, I don't have to even finish that sentence. I mean, it's everything. It's really everything. Building relationships through who you know and your network.
Yeah, and it's kind of like
that's
a little
powerful.
spider graph in a way, because if you look at it, we network with, let's say, attorneys and bankers and title people, and those bankers, attorneys, and title people all work within other brokerages, right? And now if I have a problem with so-and-so at that broker, I could be like, well, you know what? He works with that attorney. Let me give the attorney a call and get a feel for what's going on with this guy, and if it's easy to navigate or not. So that's something. We've been doing that for so long. I used to network a hell of a lot more back in the day when I didn't have any kids or a wife. But now it's less, but we still try to go to at least 2 to 3 events like a month, and the rest of our team is out there on a daily basis.
That's great. I think that's a good takeaway, is even following, COVID and Zoom and all this stuff, getting the FaceTime and the networking time is so fundamental. Joe, I want to know from you, since we're still in the early stages of your company, what are your short-term and then longer, I'm not going to put a time frame on it, but longer term goals for Revived?
Yeah, absolutely. So short term is to focus on building the proper foundation. Just like a new building would be built, first you work on the foundation and the structure, and then you work on the interior finishes, right? Same thing. So we're very focused right now on the foundation of our company, making sure we have the right culture, the right systems in place, and making sure everything is running nice and smooth. Obviously, after that, just like a building, we're going to build the structure of it and making sure that, agents know what their roles are, that everything is operating smoothly, and that we have systems to recruit, to get more business, and any hurdles along the way, that we have the proper solutions for them, right? And then finally, long term would be growing, right? Because once you have a structure and a system in place, you want to grow. And so I would say that we right now we have right around like 30 agents.
Yeah, about 30. Give or take. About 32. Yeah.
Give or take, maybe around 30, 32 agents. And so we're looking short term by the end of the year to possibly double our agent count, right? And we think that's very feasible. And longer term, we're looking to triple our gross commissions as a company.
And I'll tell you the truth, I think this year we will almost double that. I think we'll double it this year based on the first few weeks. I hope.
I love it. I love that you said on your board you've got 40 something listings going, and you're going to be working on your culture and your foundation. What do y'all do for fun?
What do we do for fun?
What do you do for downtime? How do you reset?
How do I reset?
So you know what I want to mention?
What are you saying?
I want to mention that real estate is not a career. It is a way of life. We live, breathe. Everything we do is real estate. This is our life. Mm-hmm. And what we do for fun is real estate, because this is fun. This is fun.
We do enjoy that.
And back to one more thing before Lou tells you what we do for fun, but besides drink Guinnesses and go on our boat. But you mentioned like in person and as opposed to Zoom. Lou and I very much do not like virtual meetings. We like in person because back to building a brand, when you network and you're in person with people, they get to experience yourself and who you really are. And then they stay with an experience and they remember that when it's time to refer to you or do business with you.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you get out there, you network, and you give people that personal experience.
Yeah, most times we won't even allow a Google Meet or a Zoom for our office meetings. Like unless it's like a special thing or something like that, then we'll make an exception. But for the most part, you need to be here if you want the message. And I think that's such an important thing today. I think people got so accustomed to not showing up every day. And I think it just kind of filters down to every aspect of society at this point. And, I think it's our job to bring back the human experience every single day on our own little micro levels. So we're very, very big proprietors of that. But like Joe said, for fun, we love to hunt buildings. We're big building hunters. So Joe and I do a lot of fix and flips. We build also in New Jersey right now. We have a couple projects going on. Last year we were like, we're going to go on the boat this year, right? Now we were like, yeah, we're going to go fishing. Definitely. And we went out maybe twice because we were working so hard every single day, truthfully. But Joe has his kids. I have my kids. My kids are my life at this point. So that's what my fun is. I coach my son's little league team on the weekends. I play softball, but only at nighttime on Wednesdays usually because it's like 9 p.m. games and I'm usually out of work. I'm an avid collector of like baseballs, like autographed baseballs and things like that. Joe's a Met fan. I'm a Yankee fan. That's like our biggest probably discrepancy in life that we have. But yeah, we just enjoy the company of others to be honest with you. So if we ever have any opportunity to go out with our team or meet up with our friends, and obviously we have our wives who we love so much that we love to be around as often as possible. That's what we do at this point. Right now, we're solely focused on this. I told my wife, I said, babe, listen to me. I'm telling you right now, for the next at least year of my life, I said, you're not going to see me as much as you did. I'm just telling you, we're taking it back to before we were married. And I was like, you have to agree to this. And she was like, fine. If it's your dreams and what you want in life, then I will agree to that. But I do make it a priority to be home every day if I can for at least a few hours to spend time with my kids and my wife.
I love it. So lastly, we always like to try and add some not words of wisdom, but resources for people who are listening, whether it's podcasts, books, or people that you go to for inspiration. Where do you go, or what would you suggest that anyone who's listening, who's in the real estate space, whether they're wanting to elevate their career or build a team or build a company, what do you guys think is important to look at or read or listen to?
Yeah, so I would say that one thing I do is I read every morning articles on the real estate market. You have to know the market so that you know what you're talking about. So obviously you can focus on personal growth and books and stuff like that, like Tony Robbins and inspirational people like that. But if you want to really feel confident when you walk into a room, you have to know the market. Make sure that you know what's on the market, what listings are on the market, and be educated on reading. Just like there's a whole bunch of Inman articles, the Real Deal magazine. Read all those articles and just know those things so that you know what you're talking about. But if I could give one thing that I would say that you could take away from this is that if you want to be successful, be yourself, be honest, be disciplined, and have a to-do list the night before so that when you wake up in the morning, you have a focus throughout the day of what you're going to do with your to-do list. And that's about it.
Yeah, I'd say for me, I'll be honest with you, I read up, like Joe's saying, on the market, but I look at like a lot of the speakers that are out there that are there to like motivational speakers or life coaches and things like that. And not that I look down upon it, because I don't look down upon it, because I think a lot of people do need that. But for me, I think really having some type of internal dialogue with yourself on a daily basis is such an important thing to do. Whether that's in your car or when you wake up in the morning, if you're in the shower, whatever it is you're doing, I think on a daily basis, you need to be able to run through your brain what your goals are, not only short term, not only medium term, long term, but being able to really sit down and know who you are and what your goals are for the day is such an important thing. The last thing I think about before I go to sleep at night is what my next day looks like and what my one goal is for that day. I think a lot of people also in the industry, you have a lot of agents who like, I need to get 5 listings right now. I need to have 10, I need 10 deals right now. I think at the end of the day, we need to simplify this. And you just need 1 deal right now. And then 1 deal will turn to 2 deals and so on and so forth. And if you're able as an agent just to really simplify your life and understand that you don't need 10 deals. I don't care what the person sitting next to me is doing. I just need to do 1 deal for myself and understand that from there, it'll be a snowball effect and the other deals will come. Learning the industry, learning the business is such an important thing. When I grew up in the business, this is what I did. Every single day, I took a different person on an appointment with me, right? So I didn't just go by myself. And this is something that we preach to our agents all the time. Maybe you don't like my style. That's fine. You don't have to like my style. Maybe you like Joe's or Mike's or Greg's or Joe's or Claudette's or somebody else's. Bring everybody who you can with you and learn from them. I always said I'm like Frankenstein's monster. Like I have a piece of everybody. Somebody gave me a tip at one time and I use that tip forever. If you go to one of these events, one of the speaking events or whatever, a sponsored event by a bank and they have somebody there to talk to you as a broker, just take one thing out of the event and incorporate it into your life and into your business every day. And if you can do that, you'll be successful. Understand that it's a long game, not a short game, this business. And the longer you're able to last, the better off you're going to be.
I think that's words of amazing wisdom right there for sure. Before we wrap up, because I know we could do this all day, where can our audience find you on Instagram, Facebook, all the different places?
Our team is at Belisario Cruz Team on IG. We also have at Revive Residential, which is growing, but most of the content is coming from at Belisario Cruz Team. And my Instagram is at Lou Bell, BEL 23. And Joe's.
Joe?
Yeah, I'm at SuperJoe _1. And Lou said our team page right there.
I love it.
And your MySpace? Do you have a MySpace? I'm still.
Spencer tries really hard to connect with us 90s children. I swear.
We're going to find someone with MySpace, and they're going to give me their fax number, and that's what's going to happen.
There used to be one called High Five too, right?
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was one of those.
That's so great. Well, thank you, Joe and Lou. Congratulations on the launch of Revived, and you are on a trajectory to the stars and the moon. And I'm so excited to connect with you guys down the road and see where you guys have launched towards the end of the year for sure.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Hillary, I just want to add one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Final thoughts, because I didn't want to end this podcast without saying it. Having a bad attitude is like having a flat tire and trying to drive cross country. Fix your attitude and have good vibes, and everyone's just going to want to do business with you.
I think that's the perfect ending. And we'll see you on another episode of Own It. Thank you.
Thank you.